Hello everyone, this is JamieStarr with the New World News Network. On this episode, I'm going to stray away from the political stuff and go into more of a spiritual, religious side of things, dealing with this video from Onision, or whatever he calls himself. I guess he's a pretty popular YouTuber. I don't know shit about him, but I didn't know shit about Coppercat. But then again, I try not to pay attention to morons and, you know, him and his little fangirls and everything like that. Although I keep hearing him referenced by other YouTubers I really like. So, he did this video, Why I Love Lucifer, and it's just a spattering of misinformation, cherry-picking of Bible bits, false presumptions, and everything like that. Now, Lucifer happens to be a topic I do know quite a bit about. I got very interested in Luciferianism, Satanism, and all of that as I started finding out about the Illuminati and all of that stuff. The Illuminati, first off, isn't real. Beyonce is not part of the Illuminati. She is just some chick that sings. She doesn't own a country. She doesn't own a bank. Beyonce is not important. There are tens of thousands of other beautiful black girls with beautiful voices that could replace her in a heartbeat. So please, stop thinking that these petty little entertainers that just get thrown around throwing pyramids up and are in the Illuminati or something. It's ridiculous. But I do have multiple books, you know, The Temple and the Lodge. There are concepts of Luciferianism that tie into Masonry on a symbolic level, as far as the black and white checkerboards representing dark and light, the knowledge of good and evil. I also have a Masonic edition of the Holy Bible. There's really not too much differences in here from the King James, little extra bits, some illustrations of Solomon's Temple and things like that. But the Bible in general, you know, I talk about it. Some people don't like when I talk about it, but I want everyone to realize that when I talk about it, I'm not necessarily coming out and saying, like some people, that the Bible is the definitive word of God. Again, this is something that I had rejected all throughout my teens and everything like that, but I've grown to appreciate it, even if it is just a story of different archetypes that we see come forth in society and everything, even in our media. If it wasn't for the Bible and the story of Jesus, you would have no Superman, the fallen son, the Son of God, coming down to Earth to save everyone. You would have no Neo from the Matrix. So when you shit talk the Bible, I think you should really also realize how much it's relevant in the world we live in today. I mean, our Western societies are based off of Judeo-Christianity. I don't care how much people want to come to me and try to say, the founders set up a secular nation. The majority of your founders were Freemasons. Freemasons get one of these when they join. What's the answer? What do you have to answer in order to become a Mason? You have to answer that you believe in a grand architect, that you believe there is a God, that there is a building that this was all built and created. It's again why the symbols are the compass and the square. It's so the idea that the founders were all Freemasons, but they happen to be atheists. I mean, really, come on, stop it, just stop. So, I'm going to go through, just kind of point out this guy's bullshit and how he has no idea what he's talking about. And the other thing I really hate is when atheists or, you know, people like this guy will come out and be like, oh, well, you know, the Bible's a bunch of bullshit anyway, and this, and that, but, well, God flooded everything, so God's a mass-murdering, genocidal, you know, whatever. And they have no idea what they're talking about. The context is completely beyond them. So, well, let's start this nonsense.
Why I Love Lucifer. This person suggested I make a 10 things video, but that requires effort, so I'm doing this instead. In the Bible, it apparently says that Lucifer is the root of all evil. He is allegedly where sin was created. But Lucifer is just another person who's blamed for the actions of others. If this cup is defective...
Not true. How is he blamed? There's free will. I mean, that's... We're just starting right off the bat with some nonsense. Lucifer, I mean, that's like... oh my god. That's like, so have you ever heard of someone murdering someone and saying, oh, well, I didn't murder them? Lucifer murdered them. Lucifer inspired me to murder them. I mean, this is right off the bat nonsense. He does not get blamed for the actions of others. He is blamed for their being the darkness. If you fully understand the story of Adam and Eve ate from the tree of the containing the knowledge of good and evil. Before that point, all they knew was good. So, and this is, again, ties into the masonry aspect, the white and black, the good and evil, the yin and yang. At one point, we were told that there was only good, until Lucifer came along, being the ingrate that he is, and that's all this is. This is being an ingrate to, like, the umpteenth degree. This guy especially, Onision or whatever, I mean, you can just tell he is an ungrateful, spoiled little brat who is given everything he's ever wanted, and it's never enough for him. Like this, if you want to know what this really is, this is a lesson to parents as to why to not spoil your children, because they end up like this guy. So, let's continue.
I'm not going to say it's the cup's fault, because the cup did not create itself. No, some factory somewhere created this cup, or in this context, God. Using basic logic, you can conclude that it's not Lucifer's fault that he's evil. Another thing that's awesome about Lucifer is
it's not Lucifer's fault that he is evil. Again, so whose fault is it? Is it God's fault? Or are we negating out free will? Who's responsible when someone is evil then? I mean, there's no explanations. You can't make sense of nonsense, basically.
Name is Lucifer. That's a really cool name. This actor
points for that. Well, I just like his name.
Plays Lucifer on Supernatural, who's actually pretty unattractive. It kind of contradicts Lucifer's biblical...
Yeah, because you're probably thinking about sucking him off. I mean, I don't get this.
Description. As you may know, the horns and the pitchfork, that's inaccurate. Lucifer is described to be the greatest of all God's creations, which means the only being he comes second to is likely God. He's also described to be completely...
Okay, here he has set up this straw man to kind of thing, where he said, Lucifer is one of God's greatest creations, therefore he must be second to God. Now, he's going to start running with this premise. I mean, you have the Archangel Michael. There were plenty of other angels who served very important roles. Lucifer, though, just happened to be the one that was an ingrate. Like this guy, he will point it out that he is an ingrate. So, just remember, he's already starting on another false premise. However, he is right with his one little bit. The horns and all of that, it's nonsense, and it's... I don't know what the purpose of it. Don't ask me for an explanation. I don't know if it's what he thinks, where it's to make Lucifer seem unappealing, or to some extent, I think it is to make him seem appealing to people. I mean, I don't think Baphomet is particularly sexy looking, but Baphomet gets toted around a lot.
Original, unlike anything else in existence. But as far as how he looks, it's as I said, he's described to be beautiful. What you're looking at now might be a more accurate portrayal of Satan. As you can see, he's not at all unattractive. Lucifer was God's most favorite and beautiful angel. Is that not enough?
He almost looks like, in that picture, like Onision, which is why I would think you would like him, because there's a shallow bit of him that's like, oh, I have this shaggy emo hair. That picture of Lucifer kind of has shaggy emo hair. Oh, he's the most beautiful. I think I'm the most beautiful. I love this guy. I mean, this is how this guy's thinking about this. You can tell. If you see his other videos, you know, it's narcissism whole way through.
Another reason to appreciate him? If God thought he was the best, is it so illogical for you to think he's the best as well? You would only...
I don't know, because if I had to choose between two of them and say, wow, God created this world and all of the life forms and all of the beauty and everything that is this reality, and then there's this ungrateful, spoiled brat bastard that just wants to ruin everything because he is not happy enough having to be subservient to someone, so he'd rather just wreck I mean, Lucifer is the pinnacle social justice warrior. That's basically what it is. He has grown up in all of the glory of God, and just wants to destroy it because he can't stand that he's that much of a spoiled brat. It's like all the social justice warriors with their mommy and daddy issues, where they've had mommy and daddy just trying to buy their love and buy their affection and hope that that will soothe all the pain of not having enough hugs, but it's never enough. So then they need to go out into society and try to demand, gender-neutral bathrooms or something. Like, they need to destroy the world that has given them all of their wealth and prosperity. I mean, that's essentially, and this is again why I like the Bible, is because you can look at these stories, and if you look at it just on a level of these are the archetypes, these are the personality traits, these are the different characters that continually come out through society, you get a better grip of what's going on. You don't need to take it as the Word of God, but just take it as a blueprint of how societies function. A historical, maybe fictional, maybe non-fictional. Again, on a level, it doesn't matter, because you just see it all happening over and over again.
Be agreeing with a version of God. This same meme points out that so many people forget that Satan is beautiful. I guess that's to keep young Christian girls from masturbating to the thought of him. So much easier to program people to be terrified of the devil if you make portraits of him ugly. This is Sam Winchester when Satan possessed his body in Supernatural. Definitely closer to what a lot of people would consider Lucifer to look like. People who actually acknowledge that he's beautiful. In the same show, Lucifer also possessed Cassidy.
Yeah, Hollywood is run by a bunch of Satanists. For anyone who's not paying attention, learn a little bit about symbolism, and you see it everywhere. I mean, there's these shows, Lucifer now, and everything like that, where Lucifer is some good guy detective going around helping people. I mean, you can tell all of Hollywood is a bunch of occult, nonsense bullshit, fucking sacrificing people before award shows and then having occult rituals on stage. I mean, have you seen the VMAs lately? They are performing rituals in front of everyone because they know everyone is too stupid to understand what they're watching. They're just like, oh, wow, this is edgy. Did you see Nicki Minaj wearing that crazy red robe coming out with a priest and pink with her checkerboard shit, one pant leg rolled up like LL Cool J? Oh, that's so edgy. They don't realize they're watching like 1,000-year-old rituals and mock human sacrifices just going on stage, and they're all in on it, and they all know, but you don't, because you're ignorant to it. So again, stuff to look into.
Yeah, the only character really competing with his likability is Dean Winchester. Allegedly, Lucifer tried to take over heaven. Apparently, it was the result of pride, jealousy, and discontent.
I'm sure these are all character traits that you inhibit and embody on a daily. And again, why would we think of associating these things with something good? Pride, jealousy, disconnect.
But let's be honest, Lucifer was doing this as no doubt he disagreed with how his father was running things. And that makes me like him even more, because I also have a father that I strongly disagree with. I can relate on a very personal level to the
I'm an ingrate. My daddy probably treats me really well, and enough is never enough, and I think I deserve more. And my daddy tries to give rules for me, and I don't like listening to rules, because I'm a man. I mean, this is, again, weird. Daddy issues just flowing out.
In fact, a lot of other beings could relate to him as well, as 1/3 of all the angels left God for the sake of following Lucifer. Now ask yourselves, someone as powerful as God losing followers to someone less powerful, who do you think is right in that situation? Because normally when you can choose between most powerful being in all of existence and second most powerful being in all of existence, you go with the most powerful. Unless, of course, the most powerful is that goddamn unlikable, in which case you go with the underdog. My point.
You know, what's the stats? Wasn't it only like 10% of Nazi Germany were the actual Nazis? I mean, you could bring up any point in history where you have a charming, charismatic, beautiful, cult of personality leader who leads people in a bad direction into horrible things, and horrible shit happens, and this guy is trying to say, well, that guy must be the one onto something. Like, it's his line of thinking that would be like, do you know what? Hitler has a problem with the German establishment and the influence of the Jews. I like this guy. I like him. He's got a point here. They're in control. I'm going for the underdog. I mean, that's the attitude that voted in Barack Obama, was it not? Compared to Hillary Clinton, he was the underdog. He had the cult of personality. He wooed the people, and with his yes we can, with his winding of the words. And for anyone who doesn't know, yes we can reverse is thank you, Satan. Yes, you say the yes with a nya at the beginning. Yes we can. Thank you, Satan. Also, for anyone who watches WWE, Daniel Bryan, who is symbolized as the goat, when he would come out, putting the two horns up, he would have everyone going, yes, 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 yes. And if you play it backwards, Satan, 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 Satan. I mean, it's just right in your face. Oh, I mean, then if it was just the yes saying without the symbolism of the two horns and the goats, I might give it a pass. But when you see it all together, you're like, all right. I mean, I'm so good at the backwards talking shit, I just break it down in my head at this point. Again, this is how into this shit I got. I know all the tricks and everything like that. So, people can just be talking to me straightforward, and I can break down what they're saying and reverse it in my head. It's very simple once you get into it.
Point being, maybe Lucifer was onto something. Again, I point out to you,
maybe that Hitler guy was onto something. No? Okay, Onision.
God put more effort into Lucifer than any other being according to certain texts. He made Lucifer basically better than everything. So this...
And he was still an ungrateful prick, which I assume is the dynamic between you and your father. But you're the one that brought up your daddy issues, not me.
Being that's basically better than everything says, hey guys, this dude that created us is actually a prick. Maybe Lucifer, this shiny, amazing angel, was made a little too well, and because of that, he was able to see right through God. After all, it wasn't Lucifer who was responsible for
see right through him to what? I mean, that's... follow your points through, because I assume this is also how Lucifer, with his charming deception, was able to con a third of the angels by just talking nonsense, by not really saying much of anything, by just saying something like, I see right through this guy, and everyone's probably like, yeah, you do, you're so smart, and they probably weren't like, wait, see right through him to what? What did that mean? What was he saying? Did he have was there a point there? Because I think I missed it. It just sounded good.
The whole Noah's Ark incident. No, actually...
This is also, keep in mind the majority of this guy's viewers are like 13 years old, so, and female, so, again, where someone could just say, oh, I see right through them. You got a bunch of 13-year-old girls, they would just be like, yeah, he does. And here's another great point. I'm going to let him intro this one for me.
Responsible for the whole Noah's Ark incident. No, actually it was God who
Now, for anyone who knows about the actual story of Noah's Ark, and there's some debates about it, if it was a story of genetic engineering, creating of crossbreed species, what you basically had, and this again is all reference to Hollywood, whether it's Transformers, the fallen came down, the fallen angels, probably the third that were in cahoots with Lucifer, and they started fucking the daughters of men and creating these half-demon, half-human offspring that became known as the Nephilim. And they were these abominations, because again, you're talking half-fallen angel, half-human. So that's also why there are plenty of people that think, you know, you have ancient buildings with these giant doorways because they were giants, the David and Goliath. Again, there's bits of physical evidence of all of this. We do find giant bones occasionally. Your evolution-preaching atheists like to overlook that bit because it doesn't fit in the narrative. But there's a lot of evidence to support that there were these gigantic beings, and we eventually shrank down, and our lifespans got shorter, and everything like that. So God eventually looked at all of this, where he's like, oh my God, Lucifer has destroyed my creation. He has mixed the blood of man with these fucking fallen angel Nephilim creatures. Everything's just all out of whack. Fucking Lucifer turned everything on its head. So you know what God did? He said, all right, these guys are still human. They don't have the fallen angel blood in them. I'm going to have them build a bunker boat, basically. They're going to... And there's also even debate, because again, we're talking about genetics at this point. There's debate that they didn't really round up the animals 2 by 2. There wasn't 2 gorillas sitting next to 2 lions and 2 gazelles, and the lions somehow didn't eat the gazelles. But there's talks about the 2 by 2 being the strands of DNA, and just actually taking, like how they have in Antarctica, they have these seed vaults, they have these genetic vaults where, you know, if a species dies out, they think they can just bring them back with the genetics. So again, there's talks about that. Not an expert on it, but again, there's a lot more going on here than this guy wants you to know, because he is oversimplifying things on a level you just couldn't believe. So he's trying to say, look at God, he's the big meanie for hitting the restart button when someone ruined his Lego set. I mean, yeah, I guess it is a little bit of a temper tantrum move. Imagine it. You got an adult who has been building this model world like a Lego set, building it all. He's got it all perfect. Everything's where it needs to be. And then you have his bratty little child come over and start fucking with all the toys and breaking them and turning them into monsters and everything like that. So the parent comes down and is like, oh, you messed up my whole set. Alright, I'm going to set this little portion over here and just scrap the whole thing, because now I got to start from square one again because of you. And the you who, you know, was the actual cause of it, we're trying to say is the good guy. Oh, of course.
Committed genocide against the entire planet with the exception of a few human beings and a small group of animals. I mean, how can you not agree with Lucifer at this point? Because based on that, you can see where God made a horrible mistake, and Lucifer has not yet to this day committed such a massive genocide against the human species. God...
Again, I feel like I don't even need to stop this because I just made my point. No, instead, Lucifer was destroying the human species through acts of subversion. And people have such a hard time with this. Subversion is a concept that is over everyone's heads. It doesn't matter if you're talking to people about slavery and the only part they can imagine is people being chained together and hit with whips, but they won't acknowledge taxation as a form of slavery. They don't understand, you know, that you could have a country brought down by someone getting into an office and doing it from the inside. They don't understand that, you know, China buying the U.S.'s debt is a form of subversion and taking power away from people. They have no idea of subversion whatsoever. They just need the outright violent act because these are simple-minded people. So they don't understand that Lucifer actually was responsible for it because he was destroying humanity. Now, he wasn't destroying it as far as going around and just slaughtering things, but he was trying to destroy humans from their human state. Very simple, but subversion is you know, again, we're talking, this guy's talking to 13-year-old girls. They're going to hear this and just be like, yeah, Lucifer didn't kill anyone. Lucifer's a good guy.
It also has crazy rules. Like, if you eat from the tree of knowledge, I'll kill you. What kind of crazy crap is that?
No, it wasn't, if you eat from the tree of knowledge, I will kill you. It was, if you eat from the tree of knowledge, your lifespan will then become finite. Again, Adam and Eve were supposed to live forever. They were supposed to live forever. And the only rule The only rule. It wasn't a bunch of crazy rules at that point. There was only one rule at that point. It was don't eat from that tree. I mean, they say ignorance is bliss. So, if you could live a life of good and only ever encounter acts of goodness and only ever know of good things, wouldn't you like that? If no one was ever mean, if no one ever did kill one another. I mean, let's remember, those 10 commandments were set up way after in the timeline. There was only one rule. Don't eat from that tree, because then there's going to be a downside to everything. Then the evil will come in. Then you will have the knowledge of both. And then, combined with free will, well, now you can kill people. Now you will know what death is like. I mean, this guy there's no context to any of this whatsoever.
Of course, Lucifer is going to look at a mentality like God's and go, what the hell is wrong with you, dude? They say Lucifer uses every conceivable approach to deceive and destroy people, but that doesn't seem likely to me. What it appears is someone out of...
Yeah, because you completely disregard the story of the Nephilim or him deceiving Adam and Eve and making them eat some shit that would then eventually lead to their death. I mean, this is like me going to someone with a handful of poisonous berries and being like, you know, those guys, they just don't want you to have these because they taste so good. These are the best tasting berries in the world. Oh no, I don't want to try them. I've already had my fill of the berries because they're that good. Have some. I mean, that's what we're talking about. And again, this guy's just like, ha, I doubt he did anything.
All the angels was willing to stand up and say, God, I don't really like you. And as a result, of course, God did everything he could to slander this angel, to make himself look good, and this angel look like crap.
So we're absolving Lucifer of any wrongdoing, and we're just going to say, well, that must be God slandering him. Huh? I mean, this is, oh my God, I hate when people do this. I mean, if you want to talk about the Bible, let's talk about the Bible. If you know nothing about the Bible and you want to talk about the Bible, shut up and save yourself the embarrassment. Because as far as creating these hypothetical situations based off of something that's actually written in a book that you know nothing about, I mean, again, if you want to talk about the book, we can talk about the book. But if we want to talk about the hypothetical scenario you've created and how you feel things would have gone in your Candyland fucking fantasies, shut up. Shut up. Because you know what you're doing? You're manipulating people. You're deceiving people. You're doing the same shit they accused Lucifer of. But I'm sure that's just me trying to slander you. Right?
For the sake of continuing to maintain his following and have human beings like you and me worship him. I mean, what happened when Lucifer disagreed with him? That's right, he got kicked out of heaven. Just like when you disagree with a crappy parent, they'll kick you out of their house. And what is...
Oh, is that what happened? Oh, did your daddy give you the boo Onision? Is that what this is all about? You need a shoulder to cry on? You know what? Yeah, when I was a teenager, I was fucking scumbag. I was doing drugs. I was being disrespectful to my mother. I was probably stealing stealing money to support some of that drug habit. And you know what? I got kicked out. And you know what? It was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because up until that point, there wasn't very stern parenting. See, that's one of the things you don't get when you don't have a father. See, I don't have daddy issues like you. I ended up at points in my life having all the issues you have from not having a daddy, which basically means you think you can get away with anything. Because it's very easy to manipulate the emotions of a woman, but men will lay down the law. Again, this is why 70% of kids born to single parents end up on drugs or doing criminal activity and things like that. So I'll say, I was one of those kids. I got kicked out. It was the best fucking thing that ever happened to me because I grew up more in that scenario than I did in the, 18, 19, maybe 20 years prior to it. That's reality.
Does God plan to do to Lucifer, this son that he allegedly loves so much? Well, he plans to burn the devil alive. That doesn't sound like a compassionate, kind God. That sounds like a monster who would set his own son on fire. If at this
It's called rules. Rules and consequence. Again, things you and your daddy issues have problems with.
point you don't understand why someone would be on the devil's side over God's side, well, there's probably no dooming you. I would say saving you, but considering the context, gosh, all I can really tell you is that if you go to heaven, you better watch
now you want to talk about context. Now you want to talk about context.
your mouth, because God has no problem with kicking people out, despite how much he says he loves them. Yeah, no, God just seems like another dictator. My way or the highway. And that doesn't sound like any heaven I want to be a part of.
Oh, what about the eternal salvation, forgiveness of sins, and everything like that? You know, Jesus died on the cross. Context, right, Onision, right, context. You are a bastard. You exude a ridiculous amount of daddy issues. You're a pompous little fuck. God, I wish I could punch someone through a computer screen. I need to get this arrogant little bastard's face off my screen. There's so much more I could say right now. But looking at his face is evoking a physical response. You see the hand just wants to go. The hand just wants to go. I gotta end it here. Subscribe to the channel. I got plenty of good stuff coming to you. Another podcast coming soon. Got some interviews lined up. Hope everyone enjoyed. Fuck these people. When I'm Supreme Commander and Dictator, they will be exiled. He will be burned. He will be tied up and burned in the town hall for everyone to see. Because we're gonna purge, baby. We're gonna purge all of these people out of society under my rule.